I get asked a lot about how to go from a selling agent, a producing agent, to potentially an agency owner, someone who has leverage, someone who has a team, someone who like you can leave the business and it keeps going. And I think there's a few steps that most people have to take in order for that to happen. And the first one is you have to create a machine, and that generally is generated from a marketing vehicle. And so what I did, I haven't sold a policy for my agency in about 24 months, and so at that point, the machine had already been built. But a couple years prior to that, I started really, rather than focusing on becoming a master salesperson, I focused on becoming a master marketing person. Anyone will tell you, anyone in my office, anyone who's heard me try to close a deal, I am nowhere near, not even close to the best salesperson in the world. But as far as marketing for insurance, it's what I'm really good at, and it's what the reason we've been able to grow the business to what it is today, and the reason it will continue to grow is a lot of it is because of marketing. Other than that, it's because of systems and being willing to risk and other things like that. But I knew that marketing would have to be the funnel that creates the machine, because without someone to talk to, insurance is the easiest thing in the world to sell if you have someone interested to talk to. Like if someone calls you and says, "Hey, I need to sign up for some insurance today," it's pretty hard to mess that up. I guess you could, but at that point, it's not sales; it's somewhat order taking. And so my goal was is like, how many of those can we get? How many of the people who walk in or the people that call and are like, "Well, I guess I better get some Medicare insurance today." It's more of a Midwestern saying than anything. So I started doing Facebook ads and then webinars and seminars, and eventually we sent out a book to every person turning 65 in the state, and now we're going to start doing it to 10 states, and we're going to start spending 200,000 a month on Facebook rather than 100,000 a month. But rather than trying to be the best salesperson in the world, my sole focus was on the marketing, because if there's enough marketing, bringing on reps, as long as you have good systems, good expectations, and good processes, it's almost infinitely scalable. Like you see some of these call centers and some of these agencies have thousands of agents. It's because they've tapped into the wheel of like infinite scalability. Like they figured out the marketing, they figured out how to bring on good people, and then they just did that over and over and over and over again. And one thing that I see a lot of people do that maybe I didn't do is they had shiny penny syndrome. Like when real estate got good, they went to real estate. When life insurance got good, they went to life insurance. And then like that didn't work out, and then they transitioned to solar, and then they transitioned to something else. It's like you have to do something for 10 years. And after 10 years, if you don't have the results you want and you put everything in and you did what's required, then maybe you can look up. But until you've put in 10 years into anything, I just think it's too soon to start looking around. Like when things get hard, when the CPAs are too high, when it gets difficult, when people quit on you, all these things are not reasons to pivot. They're reasons to go harder. And every time it got easy, every time even it got hard, we just decided to go harder. We decided to dig in. When it was frustrating, when I have gray hairs at 27, I just decided to go harder at that point. And so I'm getting a little scattered right now, but on the front end of things, like you can't be soft. Like you have to be willing to go through the hard stuff. If you want to build something worth building, it's going to be difficult. There's going to be pushback. There's going to be things that don't go your way. There's going to be months you don't make money. And that's just what it is. And you have to understand that if you want to be a business owner and you want to lead people, there's just going to be hard times. And if you can come out on the backside of that, it's going to create a better leader out of you. It's going to create a better example for the people that you're leading. And so you have to be a leader worth following if you want to build a real business. You want to build a business with 20, 50, 100, 1,000 employees. You have to be a leader worth following. Back to the marketing. So we started doing higher intent stuff. We started mailing out this book, and eventually I took one day, I said to my team, I said, I'm not selling any more policies. If a current client calls in and they want to do a review with me, if a referral for me calls in and wants to sit down with me, I'm not doing it. That will go to our best agents. If someone calls in, here's the message you give them. And at that time it was, hey, Matt's taking a different role in the company. He is now, taking the chief executive officer role in the company. He's no longer meeting with clients, but he's personally trained 3 agents in our office to take care of you. And that worked out really well. My service team saying that, because people would call in and ask for me a lot, and they still do a little bit to this day, but that is just what they say. They say, hey, Matt's trained a team to take care of you specifically, and that went over really well. The next thing is, this is more on like the systems and like the opportunity model of things, is whenever you are the main person in your business, you generally want to take the best leads. And so when that Google call comes in, when that referral comes in, when that this, and this, you're like, I don't trust my team enough to take those things. So I'm going to take the best lead flow. And whenever you do that, you are nailing your own coffin. You are therefore reinforcing yourselves back into sales. And what you have to do in that situation is you have to train your team well enough so that they can take those opportunities. And what happens is eventually they become better than you. Now, like, I would say half of my sales team is better at sales than me. Like, they sell it better, they present it better, they close it better, they retain it better than I ever did. But that's because we had the training and the systems in place. And I was humble enough to take myself out of the day-to-day selling, saying people are better than me. Like, you can be better at sales than I can. And a lot of people are like, I'm the best salesperson in my company. It's like, believe that and you will continue to bottleneck your business. You'll continue to be the only one who can work the high intent opportunities because you don't trust anyone. And so every time that you take a new sale, you are bottlenecking yourself for the future. And you have to think of it that way. Anytime a referral comes in, anytime this new type of policy that your team's never written, they have to go figure out those things. And the only way that can happen, the only way that growth can happen, is if you take yourself out of the picture. And it takes a lot of humble pie for people to do that because they want to be the best salesperson. They want to be the face of the company. And that is the antithesis of growth, and it'll bottleneck your company. If you are the main salesperson in your company, you probably will be bottlenecked at $3 million a year, which is a great living. I mean, it is a great living. But if you want to grow past that, and you want to have a management team, and you want to have a hierarchy of people, and you want it to be something that can bring on top talent, $3 million a year ain't going to do it. $3 million a year, you can hire some good people, but you're going to probably struggle to bring on really great people. And you're just going to bottleneck yourself over and over and over again. And if you can't bring on good people, guess what? You're never going to trust them because they're not good enough. These are lessons I've learned. Okay. So when it comes, the first thing is marketing, having enough opportunities for the team. Number two is when those opportunities come in, you can't be the one that takes them. Like, you can say, hey, I worked all night creating this webinar. I worked all night creating this funnel. I did all these things. I should get these leads. No. You have to give them to the team. And guess what the team does? You set proper expectations. You say, hey, this lead's really important. Work it this way, this way, this way, this way. The right people will perform. The third thing is I talked about this a little bit earlier, is you have to be an example. You have to be someone worth following. And so if your standards are low, guess what your team's standards are going to be? They're also going to be low. If you're showing up right on time, we start at 8:15. If you're showing up at 8:14, if you have no standards for your life, guess what? You're going to struggle with people following you. Your best people are going to leave because the opportunity is not great enough. And you have to have a vision big enough to fit the people within your organization's vision in it. Like, my dream is to build this 250 person company and this and this and this. And what I know is that all the people that work for me, they have a vision for their life too. And I know that my vision has to be big enough that all my sales managers, my team leads, my sales team, my service team, my operations team, my marketing team, they have a vision too. And my vision has to be big enough for theirs to fit in it. And if it is, and I lead correctly and I pay correctly and I treat people correctly, they will grow the company for me. But until the vision is big enough, your best people will leave because they will go find someone else who has a vision big enough for theirs to fit in it. And this is the reality of the situation. A lot of people don't get to this point because they are bottlenecked at 3 million. But if you want to go to, say, 8, 10, 12, 20 million, this is the point where your vision has to be big and you have to cast it big enough for the people within your organization to fit in it. Okay, so it's marketing, it's taking yourself out of the day-to-day of selling. Most entrepreneurs are the salesperson. So if you're not that salesperson, that's great, but maybe you're the operations person, maybe you're the marketing person. You have to take yourself out of that situation. Like, for me personally, I would even consider myself the chief marketing officer of my company. Unfortunately, like, it should not be that way. We're in the process of hiring a director of marketing. But I kind of call the shots within the marketing department. I don't really call the shots on the sales floor. I don't really call the shots on the service floor. those are ran properly. Those have directors in place. They have team leads in place. They have things going on. But taking yourself out of whatever you're good at in the business as soon as you can will unbottleneck you for the most part to get to the next level of success. And then fourth, I mentioned it again, is people. You have to have a standard for your people, because if your standards are low within your organization, you may get lucky and recruit some of the best, but they will see the standard within your organization. And as soon as they see it continue to drop and continue to drop and continue to drop, you will lose your best people. And in order, again, anyone can go to 3 million, but once you want to get bigger than that, you're going to have really talented people. Like, you're probably talented if you made it to 3 million. Like, you're probably really good at what you do. But if you want to go to 10 and you want to go to 20 and you want to do all these big things, it's going to take some talent. And the only way to get good talent is, number one, to pay them right and treat them right. But number two is to have a big vision and have standards within your organization. So if we kind of backtrack a little bit, you have to have a marketing system that is scalable. You have to have a plug and play model where an agent comes in, they're going to write 40 applications their second month with you. And if you don't have that, you have to get that, else you'll be banging your head against the wall wondering, why aren't my agents selling? Well, guess what? You as a business owner, or you as a marketer, you didn't get them enough opportunities to talk to. And overall, one thing that, if you want to get it big, is you have to take personal responsibility for everything. If you can't bring on good talent, guess whose fault that is? Maybe you don't pay right. Maybe you don't treat people right. Maybe your opportunity isn't good enough. Maybe your vision isn't big enough. The different things. Like, if you're not making money, guess whose fault that is? It's not your team. It's you, because you didn't set the proper expectations. You didn't say this has to happen. You don't know your numbers well enough. It all funnels back to the entrepreneur. And if you want to win, you have to take personal responsibility for every problem, every situation. It's always your fault, good, bad, or ugly. And I love that, because sometimes you win and it's your fault, and sometimes you lose and it's even more of your fault. And whenever your team sees you take personal responsibility for the good, the bad, and the ugly, they'll start taking personal responsibility for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so if you want to go from agent to owner, these are the steps you have to take. If you have questions, look in the comments below. Hopefully there's some helpful information there, and I hope this is helpful for everyone watching.